What is so special about training for transformation to you?
Look, for me, as I have said from the beginning, that maybe we need a new name. Training for transformation is not training as we say. I remember one professor came in the room and said, "Why is this training for transformation? You can only train dogs, not human beings." That sounds very offensive. But I sat with that question that you human beings know so much. And when they are in this space, sometimes their knowing is suppressed because there is one who knows better. So, what's unique about this process of conscientization, which we name training for transformation, is that every knowledge matters. Everybody who comes in this space have they have the right to express what they know, to question the other's knowledge, and to co-create new learning. We had a teacher who said to us, "Oh, look, this is the first time my voice is regarded as knowledge, because I have always voiced to respond to the knower who would be telling me what it is, how it is, and how to use it. But in this space, I found myself a knower with so much knowledge and putting it together. She said it is like a well where the sources of knowledge come together to, to fill the well with water. So if you think training for transformation is a training, that is a misconception. It's a process of critical dialogue where we ask, why are we who we are? Why do we see things the way we see? Why do we make decisions the way we do? Why do we survive the way we survive? What else is missing? Why are things the way they are? Can I be better? Can my world be better? Can my relationships be better? And when we say better, it's not about you. I remember my colleague saying, "Look, maybe what we can do is just to ask a series of questions. Is this good for me as a person? Is it good for the person who is closest to me? Is it good for my family? Is it good for my village?" This, the layers are so many. Is it good for the world? If it is good, then you know that this is key in terms of what's, what's in the process of critical dialogues we call training for transformation. So, if you have not, if you were looking for an answer, one critical element around these critical dialogues is that people discover answers as they live. Nobody will come with a 2 square equals 4, but you look at where you are, that's you read your reality, you question that reality, you explore how the reality can be better for those many levels that I have already shared. And it's a process. You can never say to yourself, "I start here and I end there." You just end where you are, but the process continues. I am not a director of TFT, but another person is now. What is important is how do you nurture each other into different spaces to continue the same work that you are doing. So, training for transformation, as you are saying it yourself, which for me, I think we need a new name, is the ability to realize that you can't do things alone. You do things better with others. And the process is about dialogue, questioning how to be with yourself and how to be with another, and how together you can create something that can make people curious about what it is and its potential to grow. That's what training for transformation is about. So it is, if I use an analog, it's like a sweet potato. I don't know how many of the people in this room or who will listen know how sweet potatoes are grown, because everything we buy now, it stretches and roots a tube that becomes the potato, and then it stretches again and roots again. If you cut the string and plant it, it still grows. That is what training for transformation is about. It's about restoring hope. It's about bearing fruits. It's about ever reaching to the next horizon. And it's sacred. It is a spiritual journey.
Ah, thank you, Ma. I am back in class. I said it. We need our paper and our pen. Thank you, Ma. Now, you mentioned critical conscientization. Can you please expatiate a bit on that? What is critical conscientization?
I was going to ask people who have been to TFT to say that, but the interview today is mine. So when we go when people say you are too critical, it's like it's a negative thing. Hmm? Don't be too critical, as if you are doing something wrong. But when we say critical, we are meaning that we ask questions about the identity of a thing. What is this? Mhm. And we also ask why it is like that. Okay, this is a street kid who is asking for food. Huh? I don't know if in the countries of the people that are going to watch this, they have street beggars, they have the homeless who always moving from one corner to another. And so when you see this person saying, "Can I have food?" the easiest thing to do is to buy half a loaf of bread, a bottle of Coca-Cola, and say, "You eat." I was with Christian brothers in Cape Town. They sent me a message to say, how can we say this in Afrikaans? To say lunchtime is saved between 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock or 12:30 to 2. I can't remember. So I wrote in Afrikaans and I sent it to them. And then they invited me to facilitate what we called an introduction course. And at lunchtime, by the gate, I saw this queue. And I said, "What's happening?" "No, you remember we asked you to do this? Now they know what time is lunch. I said, but who are these people whom you are feeding? Huh? No, most of them are the homeless, the hungry. And I said, who told you that they are homeless? They are hungry. Okay, let's find out. Then one day I was walking, I saw one of the frequent lunch persons. He has a store. He was selling newspapers. He was selling fruits. He was selling jewelry. So lunchtime is the queue, is the hungry and the homeless. So I said, maybe we need to talk about why are these people coming here? Just have a conversation. Why are they here? They are hungry. Why are they hungry? They don't have food. Why are they without food? So that you take off all the social, the political layers, the economic layers, because their identity, according to the Christian Brothers, was they are the homeless, they are the hungry, so we are feeding. And then who is making decisions for who? The brothers were deciding that they should eat here, but were these people really poor? No. Then we had to look at that. That's the whole process of critical conscientization. So by the end of that week, I was with Christian Brothers. I can't remember if they stopped then to feed people, but what I know is that we ended up with the whole leadership of the Christian Brothers wanting to go through this process of critical conscientization. And after that, their programs were designed to live with people, not to do charity work. That's my illustration of critical conscientization, questioning and creating awareness about people's identity, about people's relationships, about systems and processes of decision making and how people participate in that. It is about how people survive and how they organize themselves to survive. So it's layers that are questioned, that are experienced, and getting answers not as sealed, but as a way of exploring further what else could add value to that, and knowing that all is sacred.
Can you please walk us through some processes involved in this critical conscientization?
How we make decisions. It's also questioning about and creating awareness about our means of survival, which actually speaks to our informal dialogue we just had about the kidnapping and the ransom claims that people are making, which also is saying to us, if you work on critical conscientization, you have made a decision that you cannot be neutral. You are with those that are marginalized in society, and you want to contribute to undo the evil and just add the best that you can to contribute in making the world a place where people can live. And that is clearly demonstrated in the way you have handled the sister city thing. You are in Lagos, but the work is continuing. And this is what you were doing again with the Ogoni widows. Sorry to go back to that. To make a decision, a deliberate decision to position yourself with the marginalized, the excluded, and create a voice together with them so that you can say we are. They can also say as individuals, I am and I can. Most people would say, oh, we don't want to participate in politics. This is what I hear. Is that thing political? I'm not going to be part of it, especially if we live in countries where we know that we associate political activities as party political activities. Yeah. But yet, these critical conscientization dialogues, by nature, they are political. They question the status quo of being a person and what you bring to add value to yourself and to the other. Being aware that nobody can tell your story on your behalf better than you can tell it yourself. Nobody can do stuff on your behalf better than you can do it yourself. The you may refer to the individual or the collective. So in that way of critical conscientization, we become aware that we are our own agencies, not another person. And this is what comes. I have not mentioned Freire in this whole conversation, but all these conversations are rooted in the key ideas that Freire wrote about in the education for critical conscientization and the pedagogy of the oppressed. But this is not an academic dialogue. So we leave that out and we share my experience of using that academic perception or way of seeing things, mirroring my practice. So when we go critical conscientization, all those words are there in the pedagogy of the oppressed, but it's not about the book. It is about the idea in practice. So I'm just aligning myself to the conversation. Critical conscientization is not about making another person become what you want them or see what you want them to see. No, it's their awakening to realize who they are, to realize that this is the way they see things and this is the way they do things. You cannot, they say, oh, we are the voice of the voiceless. We empower. When you empower, is the assumption that this person or these people are powerless? They do have their own power. So you can raise awareness that they realize that they have the power. They are the ones they are waiting for. I have this other story. I was really fresh and I was in a team that was after the structural adjustment programs of the 90s, sorry. So then we were going to look at how the social effects, what were the social effects of the social safety nets of the packages that the World Bank had put together while the economics was being structurally adjusted. They had all these social packages of people who have been retrenched from jobs. so that they can pay fees. And so our question was to look for the poor. So I went with a team to a remote village. So we went to a mission station because missionaries know where the poor live because they give them food, yeah, or whatever. So tell us where the poor are here. And they told me, look on this side, that village, how many kilometers? I leave the story there. But when I got to that home, there had been a very strong wind. Most of the rooftops of the rondavels were blown out or inside out. So it really looked a poor home. And there was one grandfather who was making, I think he was a carpenter making some stuff for the villagers. So I get there and he says, what are you doing here, pretty one? In my naivety, I said, Grandpa, I'm looking for poor people. Hmm? Ah, he stopped carving the wood and said, you're looking for poor people? Where? Here. You are forgetting I was born long before you. I have my home. And you come here and you tell me you are looking for poor people. He went into his hut, brought some nuts, and said, my granddaughter, take these nuts, eat on your way, go and tell them there are no poor people in this village. The trees became upside down, the road was too wide, my legs were feeling like they are 10 kilograms each. I couldn't walk. There, I became aware that I was so powerless. Yet I was in this team that was supposed to be powerful and bring the information, put it together for the World Bank. When I went and I told them, I got some nuts, there are no poor people here. We had to go back to the drawing board. So this is how critical conscientization works on you and how you become aware of what you thought you knew as not knowing at all. So it's a journey that you continuously, my grandmother said, you never reach any horizon. When you get there, you realize it stretches far. So does critical conscientization. It is contextual. And as other thinkers have said, every generation might have to adapt and create their own ways of critical conscientization as long as it awakens the individual's voice, the power of voice to be, to act with value, to connect with purpose, and to journey to make the world a better place. That is, if it can be achieved in your time. If not in your time, just generations after you, they will benefit. That's the really beauty of critical conscientization. Thank you.
Can you please walk us through some processes involved in this critical conscientization?
I think, let me start by saying, by the way, this is only my way of seeing things. These are not answers. Huh? My experience is that questioning, huh? Questioning is key to critical, asking the right question at the right time. Do not look for answers, but question. I would say, from my experience, critical conscientization happens when we question. And then for me, the other step would be dialogue. Talk about it with respect of all the voices in the space. Just realizing that each voice does matter. But it does not end there. It also is connected to our values. The way we will be having those dialogues, the way we would be questioning, is grounded in the values that we believe make humans whole. And that also can be subjective. It depends on who you are, where you are, what you believe, who is there with you. All those questions become critical in the process. Right. Dialogue alone and questioning is not complete. Critical conscientization must fill all the layers of exclusion and reconstruct the layers of inclusion, and that can be manifested into the kinds of actions that people take. Somebody said to me, "Oh, so you create all these groups of leaders without titles." And I thought, oh, a leader without a title, what does that mean? But now that you are asking me about the steps of critical conscientization, people become aware that the titles we assume will not. You said, I was the director. That's a title. But that did not make me. What made me with you was my relationship with you. The way I worked with you. The way I continued to dialogue, to be with. That is no title. When you say mother, yes, it's a title. But the mother-daughter relationship is no title. It's a way of being. And hence, one of my takeaway from Training for Transformation is being with all these leaders in the room without titles, who go back and do amazing work like you are doing, and like Regina is doing, and many others, without titles. The title comes out, a sister city. This. That means the women who were once homeless have houses. That's not a title, but that's dignity. They have earned dignity for themselves, by themselves, so they can celebrate their dignity. So that's how it works. Those are the steps: question, dialogue, co-create, make it better. And never forget, it is restoring hope. And it is spiritual. And it is political. Because we have taken a position to be with the oppressed, the excluded, and journey together to liberate. Help them liberate themselves, not liberate them. There's nothing like liberating others. People liberate themselves.